Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. It's your t-shirt historian. It's back for another week in Geek. All right. Well, deep subject, I know. YouTube, and I'm not shooting at YouTube so much because, YouTube is our platform. So that's what helps us get our messages out and talk to people and allows us to entertain you. YouTube has a thing with, copyright hitting music and everything all the time. And I have to admit, it's a bone of contention I have that really grinds me very deeply because I'm very much into my music. I've got over 15,000 tracks just on one of my hard drives. And this week, I was actually collecting a lot of really good stuff. I went through and I found a bunch of really cool, Japanese goth artists that I hadn't heard before, and I love them, and I would love to let people hear them, but I can't because YouTube will hit me. I picked up new stuff from Andromeda. I picked up the entire Cell Dweller Definitive Edition disc. Really good stuff. Can't play it for anybody. I even found some really cool Mongolian metal, and I love it, and I want it. I would love to share it with you guys, and I just can't do it. I mean, it's just like, and it is so frustrating. It is the most frustrating thing for me because one of the main things I wanted to do as far as YouTube and as far as being a geek and being on the Week in Geek is sharing movie clips or movies and sharing music clips. And I'm prevented from doing either. I mean, I can do it. They'll just copyright claim me to death, and somebody else will monetize my stuff, and I won't get any credit for it. And it's aggravating, guys. It really is. I don't know how other channels get away with it. Because I see plenty of other music channels out there, and I guess either they just don't care, or maybe they have sponsors or something. I don't know. Maybe that's what I need to do is just build a separate channel and just do nothing but music stuff on it, and screw it if it doesn't get monetized or something. I don't know. Maybe somebody will want to, do some promotion with me or something. I don't know. But it's something I'd like to look into the future if I ever get monetized, because I have a lot of interests, and I'm sure everybody else out there does. And I'm sure you'd like to see more about things that we could bring to the table for you to enjoy as far as media goes. Music, movies, TTRPGs. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons we're still successful with TTRPGs and putting TTRPGs out on streams and talking about them is because so far they can't copyright claim that because it's transformative work by nature. So, hoorah for that. But anyway, all right, let's get our, do they get licensing? The musicians, they do get some kind of licensing. You have to pay for licensing. Unfortunately, because I'm not monetized and I'm not making any money, it's not like I can afford to pay for all these things. I have to get permission from all the artists to let me play something. That's one of the reasons why I run Faderhead. It's because Faderhead has put those tracks out, and he has already said that they're free to use. You can use them in creative content and everything else. And that's exactly what I do. I am very grateful to Faderhead. Faderhead has never said no anytime I have asked him to use any of his music. He is a great guy. I'm still dying to get him on the show, and I still have a plan. It will happen someday, guys. It will. But until it does. Anyway. All right. Let's put our people on. Let's got Mr. Grimm.
Hello.
Hello. Mr. Victor.
Hoi iedereen.
Hi. And our guest this week, Gorgon's Grimoire.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here.
Great to have you. All right. Let's say hello to everybody out here in the chat. Who do we have? We got Lord Thoth. He's been here since early. And Snortapoopus, of course, our wonderful moderator bearer. Tapani, it's good to see you again. Surly Unicorn. Mercurius, hello from down under. And what do we got? James Dixon, yes, good to see you, bud.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah, that's
What?
me.
That's you.
Yep, that's me.
Okay. Now I know. Are you also Savo Keslevang?
No,
Nope.
that's not me.
I believe that is that's the elf girl from Twitter. That's really cool. I like her. She's cool.
Elf girl from Twitter. That doesn't
Yeah.
narrow it down at all.
No, it doesn't. She does the comic books. She does the comic books.
Ah.
Lovely Sherry, it's good to see you. All right. Yeah, you're right, Surly Unicorn. Yeah, some groups are really good about it, some not so much. Mostly the ones with the big labels are, yeah, they're very, litigious, I guess. That sounds bad. I'm sorry, we don't mean to make it sound bad. No. We'll find you up on Twitter and we'll promote you, okay? But anyway, yeah, Grim was talking about a band earlier in one of his videos that was really hilarious. The Dream Eaters with River of Intestines, and I laughed my butt off at that. So I checked out their Bandcamp catalog. But in my travels, I also found another YouTube artist who has a ton of subs. Only 13 videos, but she's definitely worth checking out. Her name is Ebanisteria Musical CM Ferrari. She's Italian, obviously, and I'm going to put up a link for you.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. But go check out her channel. Let me show you one of the things that she's done. This is pretty cool. This is about 2 minutes long, but it jams.
Witcher?
Yeah, Witcher 3.
Yeah. I love Witcher 3 music.
Me too. What's cool is the kind of stuff that she makes. You could listen to it in your games pretty easily.
Yeah.
Needs more hurdy-gurdy, yes. Always more hurdy-gurdy.
If there's any soundtrack for like epic fantasy music, it's probably The Witcher.
I agree.
Dragon Age is pretty good to have in the background as well.
Indeed.
I think the harps ones do a really good job too.
Mm.
But she's really good.
She is really good. I mean, I've watched a few of her videos now, and it's just like, it's the kind of soundtracks you would like to have playing in the background while you're playing a game or running a game. I kind of wonder about that too, Sabo. You might ask her, post it up to her YouTube channel. This one's on her YouTube channel. I think it's called a Tegelharpa and a Tegelharpa Gran Bassa.
Kielbasa?
Not Kielbasa, Gran Bassa.
I think of a kielbasa.
Are you hungry?
Yes, I'm on a diet. I've been dieting for weeks now, and I'm always hungry.
hey, I am too, buddy. I got
Yeah.
one of those air fryers, and I'm like just cooking all my food, and I actually start feeling better. So
Yeah, I've been using an air fryer for years. They're amazing.
yeah, I wish you'd told me about it because I love it. Yeah, I agree, Surly. Yeah, Witcher soundtrack is amazing. State of Decay 2 is a really good soundtrack. I absolutely agree. I use that a lot. And Long Dark, I need to check that one out. Brett! Oh my gosh, it's good to see you, bud. You like the Who? These type of music? Yeah, I like the Who also. It's like anytime we have orcs show up in the game, it's like I always want to play the Who.
Yeah.
I don't know if people are gonna say, "Oh, it's racist." I'm like, no, it just seems to fit.
Is it really racist if you're paying homage? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of how I feel about it. Speaking of which, there is another Mongolian metal group out there that do a song called Car Cools. I think I posted it up on Twitter, so you guys can go back and check it out. But they rock. I mean, it's like Mongolian metal is so awesome. But yeah, I think people should not overlook the attraction of music in their gaming. My normal GM is anti-music, so it's like he doesn't permit or allow or wish for music to be played during the game because he feels it distracts from it. So
he is wrong.
I agree.
I like a bit of music during the game, but it does have to be in the background.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's fine. Now I've seen people who.
At IndieCon, there was a guy who would come and sit at your games, and he would play music fitting what was happening during the game on his guitar and keyboard, sort of like a bard for the players.
That just makes me think some guy in like a sweater vest with like his acoustic guitar, like the guy that shows up at campfires, that everyone hates.
Yeah.
Grace doesn't like it.
I use music. It all depends upon, if it fits with the setting or the game itself. Like when I was running West End Games Star Wars, I used the Star Wars soundtracks all the time, and my players loved it.
Yeah.
Fantasy is a little bit hit or miss. It all depends upon the type of fantasy that you're running. If you're running high fantasy, Lord of the Rings fits, but if you're doing low fantasy, about the only thing that really fits is the Conan the Barbarian soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
I generally prefer ambience over music though, so
Mm-hmm.
I like creepy woodland noises, or wind blowing over a wasteland type stuff. Or I remember one time the party was being chased by an army of corrupted elves, so I slowly started building up these drums, these war drums sounding in the distance, so yeah, I love stuff like that.
I do too. We did have a guy who brought one of those Sirenscape or whatever it is to the game. It was kind of good at first, but it after the battle started taking over 30 minutes long and you're hearing the same song on loop for 30 minutes, it's kind of like, okay. Oh, it's Delver. Hey, you can't hang right now. Okay. Catch us on replay, bud. You find yourself concentrating on the music instead of the game. Yeah, that happens to me. I do get kind of caught up in the music, but also what I do is if I know the piece, I will kind of use that to enhance whatever I'm saying. Worked out pretty well whenever one of my friends insisted on playing the Dracula soundtrack while we were playing Vampire. And all of a sudden my vampire bursts out in a dramatic soliloquy with with the looming Dracula soundtrack in the background.
Did you watch that Mitch Benz, Gilbert and Sullivan's Dracula that I posted?
I didn't get a chance to. I forgot about
funny.
it. You posted it.
It's funny as hell. You need to watch it.
I will watch it. I will check it out on the replay. KMFDM, yeah. There you go. KMFDM. Yeah.
I need some Crystal Method.
Yes. Yes, Angel is fucking great. That's one of the best Crystal Method soundtracks ever. In fact, it was so good they stole it for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
Yeah. Which that sequel looks like ass, not to
no, it does. No, it does. It looks like ass, and at this point I can't do anything about it because I pre-ordered it so long ago I can't return it.
That sucks. Yeah, I love the original, especially since there's a mod out that restores all the cut content, and it's amazing. But yeah.
Yes, it's one of those. Bloodlines is one of those games that is just the flawed masterpiece.
Yeah.
So, we'll probably never see too many things like that again. But,
No, it was a specific era.
mhm.
Actually, that reminds me. Did you guys see that what's it called, the graphic that's going around where it's like the happiness of young men from throughout the years from like whatever of 80s until now, and there was like this huge dip in like unhappiness in like the 90s and like early 2000s, pretty much when we were at the height of like gaming culture and like all this stuff, and then it like
Yeah.
took a sharp upturn again.
I don't get that because the 90s were generally pretty good for me.
Well, no, I mean like that's when we were most happy, and now
Oh.
it took like a short uptick to like us being unhappy again.
Oh, okay.
So back like doing like the 90s and like the Xbox 360 days, like that's when we were the most happy, like when everyone was playing Halo.
Yeah.
I think
They're
a
real
lot of
fans.
Go ahead. All I was going to say is that I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Gen X was growing up with the threat of the nuclear war, and when the Soviet Union fell in 70 or 89, we all breathed the collective sigh of relief, and
Did.
and that because prior to that, I was born in 1969. And I remember all through the 70s and the 80s, it was, you're going to die in a nuclear war, so you better, get right with God. And here, you need to learn how to dive underneath your desk and know where the nearest fallout shelter is and everything else. And then when the Berlin Wall fell in 89, everybody just thought, well, we don't have to worry about dying in a nuclear fire.
Oh, teachers wouldn't even lie to me that way. They would tell us explicitly. It's like, we live way too close to a major base, so if the nukes fall, we're all dead. Yeah. I mean, they didn't even try to sugarcoat it with us. It's like, don't worry, if nukes happen, you won't even notice because they'll hit the base and we'll all die.
Yeah, kind of feels like we're getting back to that era though.
Yeah, we're not going to get incinerated, so let's all get AIDS and try this new drug called crack I've been hearing so much about.
Yeah.
That's why we're happy.
Guess so.
Well,
jeez.
I tell people all the time, back in the 80s, it was let's have fun because you don't know if you're going to live till tomorrow. So work hard, party hard, have sex hard. Everything you do is hard. And you live life to your fullest, and now we're all 50, 40, late 40s, early 50s, and we're all like going, ow, I hurt, I did so much damage to my body.
I'm only 39 still. I'm still young and fit. I can still go a couple of years.
Yeah, you're good. You're good for a little while. The check engine light comes on in about 5 years, Victor.
Yeah.
But
you're only as old than you feel.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, we got Gorgon's Grimoire on, and we got about 40 minutes to pick your brain, man. You ready?
I am.
All right. So, who are you, and what do you do?
I am a longtime role player. I've started role playing in 1984 with AD&D First Edition. My very first character was Kanji Sama. She was a ninja. She was a ninja wizard. Dual class.
Ninja.
Yeah. And played her for a little while. Then started DMing in 89 with AD&D Second Edition. I was DMing in 84 though, but I was doing like Aftermath. A game so complex you needed a flowchart to decide how combat ran. And now I'm a writer, and I'm working on an AD&D Second Edition clone and a setting. Jarl Frank, he is one of my players in my playtest campaign for the humans.
Okay, now that's curious. There's quite a few people who push back and say Second Edition D&D was terrible. I am not one of those people. I liked Second Edition okay. But I'm curious why Second Edition and not like First or OD&D or Basic or something like most people.
Gary Gygax, brilliant idea man. He was brilliant in his ideas along with Dave Arneson and everybody. The problem with Gary is that he was a terrible writer. So if you look at AD or D&D, original white box D&D, it was okay, but sales went through the roof as soon as Holmes came in and rewrote the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then same with Moldvay and the other thing. So what second edition did was that it codified everything that Gary wanted, and it was started by him in 1985. Gave it to Dave Cook, who was the third employee of TSR, and so they combined everything that they wanted to do and made it a cohesive whole. That's the only difference between first edition and second edition. So instead of having everything be a subclass of fighter, they now have warriors, and then you have your fighters, paladin, ranger are all in the warrior grouping. And then clerics are in the priest grouping with druids, monks, and crusaders and shamans. So, I mean, the way that they did it was made it more unified. So everybody had a unified hit die and saving throws.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I don't want to steal your thunder or anything like that, but just to point out, guys, I'm really excited because yes, we have Raven CS McCracken in our chat.
Hello.
Awesome guy.
The Kraken Lecken.
Yeah, Mr. Cinnabar himself, man. I'm so happy. I haven't seen him in a while, and he is a great guy. I think me and Grimm's interview with him was just, I mean, like, is one of the highlights of my streaming career ever.
Yeah, I remember that one.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah,
Can
I
answer this question real quick from Savo.
absolutely.
Have games become less complex over my long experience? No, they've actually gotten to be more complex. And they've also gotten away from letting the GM adjudicate the game and
Yes.
run the game as they see fit.
You know, I made that same comment. I don't know if I said it on Week in Geek or if I just told somebody this. But I think that's the point at which I decided third edition was probably not a good game. And that is, it seemed like they had a rule to cover every single thing that could happen in the game, and yet 50% of the rules, like the feats and the special abilities and everything like that, were designed to circumvent the rules. So what does that say?
Mm-hmm.
I explain to people that the feats and everything in third edition was to take player choice away, to get them to fit into what the designer thought that they should play the game like. So a lot of the creativity that was in second edition, first edition, and even basic went out the window. You can no longer do these awesome tricks that you could think of, and your DM would just look at you and go, well, yeah, you need to roll a dex check.
Yeah, exactly. I made that complaint to my GM multiple times playing third edition. It's like, you know, because it seems like back when we were playing first and second edition, it was like, if I told my GM, was like, yeah, I want to run across the room, you know, jump on this rope, swing across this pit, and like stab this guy on the other side of the pit. Can I do all that in one round? He'd be like, if you got enough movement, you can do it. But then when it came to 3E, it's kind of like, well, let's see. You're taking more than a 5-foot step, so that's a move action. Okay, you've only got 30 feet of movement, but going upwards, 10 feet to grab the rope means that you're going to have to, lose about 15 feet of movement. And it eventually got to an action economy to the point where it's just kind of like, no, you can't do it.
But I feel that 3E style was also a specific era, though, that we have moved past again. And now we're actually getting back to like the more simplified games again. Especially kind of like, the story games, like Candela Obscura just came out, which is, very bare bones. Matt Colville's game sounds like it's doing away with a lot of like crunch and stuff like that. You've got like pretty big YouTubers like Professor Dungeon Master like advocating for like rules light games, like just roll a d6 you dummy kind of stuff. So I kind of do feel that as a whole, normies, especially the tabletop normies, we are going back to like that very rules light approach.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at me. All my favorite games are like the Crawford games. So
yeah, Crawford does have some crunch though, a little bit.
He does. Yes, drink.
So the name of my game is called Damsels, Adventurers, and Dragons. DAT. That's the abbreviation. The setting is called Miss Amelanos, and that's Myths. Miss Amelanos. It starts right after creation, so you can run multiple groups. Everybody's their own individual race. Frankie's like the king. He started out as the king of the humans. His king character got turned to stone after failing a saving throw versus petrification by when they met against some greater Medusas. So he's now playing the wife of that character. I do it old school from the 70s where you have one main character and then you have 5 henchmen. And if your main dives, then you have one of your henchmen to fall back on. So, yeah. Then that's Mom. Then the monster manual is called Calarian's Index of Denizens and Sorcery. Kids. Notice a pattern here.
So are you trying to say that your game is like very family oriented?
Well, the nickname is the family. I nicknamed it to be the family RPG system. So, if I want to do add-ons for specific parts of the book, like if I want to do an add-on for Dad, I would call it Step. And this is thanks to Patty. He was the one that suggested I use Step. So,
yeah.
And that stands for Strategic Tales Enrichment Pack. And so if it's assigned to Dad, it's Stepdad. And then if it's assigned to Mom, it's Stepmom. If it's assigned to kids, Stepkids. So, and then I do have my own version of Spelljammer that I will be working on. And it's called Galactic Routes Amidst Monsters, Pirates, and Swashbucklers. Gramps.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good naming scheme.
I like that. Yeah. It's easy to remember.
Yeah.
The first human was turned into a statue. How long did it take for him to be called the hard copy? None, actually. Nobody's called him yet. You're the first.
So with second edition, it was very much the settings that were the big thing for second edition, I think. So is your setting really tied to the rules that you're creating? Is there anything really individual and special about your setting in the way lots of the second edition settings like Planescape, Dark Sun, Spelljammer, how does that come together?
I actually, in Miss Amelanos, I actually put in the rules for domain play. So if you play Crusader Kings 2, you build up baronies and everything else, and then you build up your kingdom and everything and to go with it. So it's kind of like Birthright. Everything in Myth is time regimented. It's a kingdom turn is 3 months. A year is 4 kingdom turns. So they can do 3 actions in a kingdom turn, which is explore or build stuff or whatever. So that, and then part of that is that I incorporated a tabletop war game into it. So when you actually go to war, you actually are using actual miniatures to fight out the battles between the different races.
Nice.
Yeah, Pendragon was good for running sort of domain style play, and there was a game called Reign as well. I think REIGN. That seems to be coming back into vogue quite a lot.
Yeah, like with the Adventure Conqueror King and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I keep
I
meaning
didn't
to
know.
get onto a retro clone of Birthright. I will at some point.
Isn't somebody redoing that?
Are they? I don't know.
I could have sworn somebody wanted to redo Birthright, or they were trying to retool it or something.
I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna call it Birth Wong.
Well, I mean, that was kind of a neat. My friend used to call it birth defect because he's kind of like he said like, yeah, your characters get powers by the gods, but depending on which power it is and how much of it, it's like some of you are just like got lightly urinated on by the gods, and some of you.
I mean, that's fair, I guess. Also, I'm gonna show favor to everyone.
Yeah, I guess not, unless you're playing Godbound.
Yeah.
So what is the USP, the unique selling point of the setting then? What is it that makes it stand apart? Is it just the domain play, or is there some other aspect?
The entire game starts right after creation, and all the players start in the Stone Age. And then all the gods are active, so there's training rules, and the first generation are literally trained by the gods that created them. And then what makes it also unique is that in order to change tech levels, that you have to discover 90% of the technologies for that era. And once you do, you go to the next tech level. So you start out in Stone Age, which is tech level 1. Tech level 2 is the Bronze Age. Tech level 3 is the Iron Age. Tech level 4 is the Medieval Age. And tech level 5 is this Age of Sail. So, and it's designed for long-term play. It's a long-term campaign that it will evolve. You're going to be playing your characters' children and their children and so forth. And everything that is in that world is unique to that table. So my table is going to be completely different from if Grim, you're going to run a table, it'd be completely different from yours. Victor's would be completely different from both of ours. T-shirts would be different from everybody. So everybody, that's why it's called Myths of Melanos. Melanos is the high god. It's also the name of the system where everything takes place. And so the myths are the players that doing it. So I've had players quit because they've lost characters. I've had one quit because I turned he failed a dex check and he fell into some corrupted pool, and the liquid transformed him into a gold dragon. And he failed the saving throw for versus polymorph, but he succeeded on the system shock. So yeah, that's what makes it unique, is that every table's different.
Yeah, which used to be how it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
So you have
sort of
rules for
building
like
up your
inheritance and stuff. Sorry, Wim.
No, so I was to say you're just building up your inheritance and your own table mythology as you go along. But sorry, you were saying.
No, I was so there's like rules for like inheritance. So like because you're playing like different generations. Like characters are gonna grow old and die and retire, and you're gonna play like their kids and stuff. But I assume there's going to be some sort of progression where a new character isn't going to start at level 1. That like if a character that's like level 15 like is old and retires, like does their son like also start at like some decent level, or like how does it work?
Okay, well actually, you know what? I got an answer for you on that one. And it's in the form of video games. Because one of my absolute top favorite video games of all time was Phantasy Star 3, Generations of Doom. And that's the one where you do have a multi-generational campaign. And when your old character retires, they don't really die off. They retire off, and you play the new character. That new character picks up at the old character's level.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great game. I've always wanted to run a multi-generational campaign like that. In fact, I've always wanted to run like a literal full on, like, start from nothing settlement building game where you start literally with nothing and you have to build everything up from nothing, and it does span multi-generational, and it just becomes like an investment in that world, or at least in that little corner of the world.
Well, I know in Adventures of Middle Earth, the Mirkwood campaign takes like 30 years in game. So if you're playing a human, there's rules for like your kids to take over, because you're going to grow old, but your elves and your dwarf friends are going to be like fine.
To answer Victor's question, it's all depending upon the Adventure Master. I use Adventure Master, so it all depends upon the Adventure Master. In my game, they all start at level 1.
Okay.
The thing is that the baronies are all tied to the character class. So if you're a fighter, paladin, if you're a fighter and a ranger, you can build a castle, which will be a law barony. And then paladins are unique in that they can build either a temple barony or they can build a law barony, because they're both. Then clerics, they can build a temple city. Druids, they build a grove, at the center as their core building. And then merchant cities are made by rogues. So traders, bards, thieves, those are your rogues.
Yeah.
And then arcane cities are built by wizards. Now, what I did was that with your heir is not the same class as the original character, that heir can still keep building up that original barony. So they're still able to do it.
And just because you're level 1, you still have like your father's barony behind you, so you probably have like access to those resources. Maybe even have access. You inherit this magic sword and stuff. So I assume you still probably, even though you start at level 1, you have a leg up.
Well, since we're talking Arthurian stuff, I figured I'd bring this up. This is one of the books I picked up from the U.S. Lamentations of the Flame Princess sale that's going on right now. Still going on, by the way, for a little bit longer. But it's called The Yellow Book of Brechvold, and it's actually a full-on campaign setting with no actual like overarching adventures. Like literally, you're supposed to just give the characters options for what they want to do. But it is so heavily rooted in, ancient English mythology that I felt like an idiot while I was reading through it, because I didn't know so many of the things in here, and there's like some legendary characters in this thing, like Egbert and some of these other people who are from famous English mythology. So it does have kind of a very Arthurian type vibe to it. It's also a pretty chunky book, as you can see, and it's got a marker on it. It's like almost 200 pages.
Tables.
Yeah, it's if you're wanting to do some Arthurian type stuff or brush up on it or find ways to integrate some of it, I would recommend picking up a copy of this, especially right now while they're having the 2-for-1 sale from Lamentations, and you'll be helping out Raji and yourself. So.
I've got to say, I of the new crop of books, I didn't rate that one particularly.
Didn't like it?
No, not that much. It's basically Hogwarts as directed by John Boorman. I felt.
That's exactly what it is.
But it doesn't focus enough on the magical school for that to be particularly engaging. It just felt like a bunch of tacked on dungeons and things to that, which just didn't do it for me. I would have gone all in on the evil Hogwarts and put the focus there, but that's just me.
And
your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I do have another guest today, guys. Kind of special. Wasn't expecting this, but we are graced with Raven C.S. McCracken of Cinnabar.
Hey. Very metal right now.
Good to see you. So this new game of yours sounds wonderful. Starting from the beginning of the lowest tech, moving on through, it seems like it's got a lot of character to it and a lot of environment. A lot of thought went into this. Sounds wonderful.
Thank you. I looked up to your work. I really did in Birthright, and it really helped me immensely. And I appreciate all the compliment that you gave me. It's awesome to meet an original.
As rise come for your soul.
Oh, it's been too
Can you
long, Raven.
Could you look me up on Twitter, Raven, please?
I will give it my best, sir. Please, yeah, sure. Send me a link and everything. Yeah,
All right.
it's
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah, I love having you on, man. Gorgons, you could post your Twitter stuff in the private chat, and Raven can get it there.
All right. I will do that.
Yeah. But how goes the hero game?
Super Shoots?
Yes.
It's so mediocre.
Oh.
You guys both know. You read it. It's mediocre. I went through it. I had a friend of mine who's an editor, and she went through it. She went, it's another game. And I'm like, oh, God. I know. The name's great, and it can be as fun as any game you want to make, but, well, you guys both know. I'm not even going to. There it is. So. And there's work in it, too, and that's kind of like,
Well, don't give up on it. I mean, just retool and make it better. That's all you can do.
I shall. I'm working on a brand new project right now. But
what you got?
I'm not. No, secret.
No?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I want to hear more about this gentleman's project. This is what I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
So I didn't do the tying the blood to the land, what you guys did. Basically, I started writing this in 2015, and I came up with like 150 pages of history. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Every setting's got like 150 pages of history. Why not just chuck all this out and start from the beginning and let every table be different? And so that's where the entire idea grew. And so my friend Frank, he calls it Civilization meets Crusader Kings meets AD&D. So, and I love D&D. AD&D second edition is my favorite system by far. And so that's why I stuck with it, because it's a really simple system for people to grasp. And I like what you guys did at TSR with your settings. They were all unique, and I felt that I wanted to honor Dave and Gary and all you guys at TSR by giving people the ability to play like it was in 1970. So you get a blank slate for a campaign world. And then, because I love the Cthulhu mythos, I threw in my own version of the Cosmic Horror. So they're all locked up.
The idea of a character that is forced by role-playing to slowly go insane. Yeah, there's something terrifying about that. They don't want too much. You don't want to get too much information. You don't want the truth to be revealed, because it'll tear your mind apart. That's rough playing that. You slowly got to go nuts.
I don't need role-playing games for that. I'm doing that in real life. So.
Oh boy.
Okay, Savo asked me, how long is a game that spans from Genesis to medieval age expected to take? That's the thing. This was expected to take decades. You're supposed to have a group of people that you're friends with and play, a la the original Blackmore game. They still play to this day. They meet every year and keep playing the same game, and they keep continuing. So that's what the goal of Myths and Melanos is, for people to get all the core rules where they could, build this world up that's their own, and they can fight massive battles using a battle system type wargaming system. Raven knows what that is. Battle system. Really awesome system. Completely underappreciated in my opinion. So I do use kits. So kits are tied to the specific ages. So, like fighters, they start out as the Savage Fighter kit, and you're limited in what you could get and stuff like that. So, oh, that's sweet. So,
something you said earlier struck me. You're aiming for this long-term play, and it's something you reflect in your own home campaign and games. But you had a couple of people quit on you. I don't know that this is a question exactly, but more an observation. I mean, as a games master, as a game designer, you want people to get invested in the game and their character and the world. But the flip side to that is that when something happens, when they're that invested, some people take it really hard and quit, even though it's the consequences, it's the threat of failure that makes the game so engaging in the first place. And you've got these things in place where you can play your descendants or your retainers or your character's old romantic partners or whatever. I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around that, and was wondering if you had any thoughts about all these different sort of conflicting.
It's a big
things
commitment
that are at work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I tell people right off the bat that this is old school, and old school means your characters are going to die one way or the other. If they're either going to die in adventure, they're going to be turned into an NPC through bad die rolls, like with the guy with the gold dragon. I tell my players right off the bat that this is what's going to happen. Be prepared, because Frank's lost 2 of his characters in the game. One because they got introduced to the deck of many things at level 1, and he drew the rogue card. And so one of his henchmen turned against him, kidnapped the king's daughter, and tried to sacrifice her to the chaotic evil greater goddess Iltane for more power. And Iltane isn't that way. She doesn't function that way. So
that's very dramatic. This is wonderful, good dramatic storytelling.
I like that.
That's why we're here, right? We're all here for the dramatic storytelling, because it's just.
I'm here for the dice rolls.
Well, yes, because it's improv acting with math.
Yes, pretty much.
Or improv math with acting.
I'm there for the Cheetos.
I have a question for Raven, because he is the old guard. How does this setting compare to what you guys did in the 70s and the early 80s?
Specifically for what do you mean, sir? Please clarify.
How the play transpires with the henchmen and the dramatic stories and everything else. Is it about what you remember?
Well, my introduction to role playing and all the gaming stuff came from I played with Gary Gygax at a demo and stuff, and so I got experience with the man and how he ran games and stuff. As far as for, I think, if you get this right, as far as for the feel and the texture of what you're developing so far, it sounds very solid, very well thought out. It sounds like something that when people come into it, that there's enough source material for them to become engaged in. And again, just from what little I've heard, and that's what makes a great product. People fall in love with genres and what other writers come up with, and that's what they say. It's a wonderful thing. And if you bring joy to people's lives with that, then you've done it. You hit it right on the nose. That's what we're all about.
Well, thank you. I will let you review my manuscripts, that way you can take a look at them, and I would like your feedback if you don't mind.
Oh, that would be a great honor. I appreciate it. I'd appreciate it. That's a wonderful thing. Sure, that would be wonderful. So I want to ask you a question about your initial design system. You say that you have tech levels, increasing in tech levels. What is your mechanic for increasing tech levels?
I have a non-weapon proficiency that's called technological research, and it's clerics and wizards can get it at at standard cost. But
how about engineers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Engineering is actually, I used an engineering non-weapon proficiency. So that has to be researched through invention. So what ends up happening is that people will take the tech research non-weapon proficiency when they create their characters, and then they will start to do a research on a specific invention. And like in the human game, they just got done finishing earthenware and, earthworks and stuff like that.
Research you speak of, is it dice rolls with modifiers?
Yes. So the base roll is wisdom, or is intelligence, and -2, I believe. And -2 as the base. And then for the base time to research it is 10 years. And then at the end of 10 years, you roll to see if you actually invent the stuff or invent anything. So,
okay, so you got a couple of different roles, and then you span a certain amount of time, and you got a modifier for intelligence. That sounds very reasonable. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Do you have like a tech tree?
Yeah, I was wondering about that
like
too.
some games have, or
yeah, prerequisites lead to different technological breakthroughs, and
yes.
can I present to you? Can I show you my tech research?
Absolutely.
How do I do this? Just go to present.
Yeah. If you go down to present, and then you can share screen, and if you've got something opened up, you can open it up in that.
present on.
All right.
Oh, it's been too long, Raven. It's been too long.
I know.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to hear your voice. I'm glad to see you, Grim.
Oh, look at that. Yes, he's got it.
Let me get on my glasses here so I can see and not look cool.
I'm gonna have to full screen so you guys can see it. There you go. Is that better?
That's done. I love it right off the bat. I'm one of the old school guys who loves that stuff.
My sunglasses are prescription, so I get the best of both worlds.
I'm jealous, Grim. So the humans, they just finished researching earthenware brick. And what that did was that it automatically unlocked mud for mineral adhesives.
Mud.
Yes.
And then they unlocked, where is it?
Banging the rocks together. Banging the rocks together is the secret. It's serious. The largest machine on our planet. All it does is bang rocks together. The super collider.
True. That's true.
And then they unlocked, where is it? Here, mud brick, permanent building materials. So basically what I did was that I went through GURPS's low tech and referenced that.
Nice.
Go Jackson.
There's no shame in that.
So because I originally started with the barter system, I hated it. So I quickly gave all my players the ability to use cash. Let me tell you, running bartering is a pain in the ass.
No,
yes, it is.
Brain surgery. What are you going to train me for brain surgery?
I have a cow.
So right now they're getting all these big chunks, and each chunk is like worth 100 pieces of money. So in order for them to actually make coin, they actually have to invent the early furnace. So and what happens is that the more people that you assign to tech research, the faster it takes to research. So for every person that is assigned to it, you get a subtract 1 year from the 10 base. So you can have 10 people researching, and that would give you
you go down to how long? It's 10 minutes to do the job. I mean, it's going to take more than you got to have a minimum.
No, a year. The minimum is a year, and then for every additional tech researcher, you get a +1 to your roll.
So there's a question about design to the whole team. If you sometimes use these numbers and you just go, I'm going to stick to the number, and you do the math. Sometimes things get wacky.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If you get 10 people, okay, now I want to have 100 people. I got 1,000 people working on the Manhattan Project. So by the game rules, it's negative time.
It's true.
So we already have it.
Yeah, you got to
We
there's a fine line. There's like logarithmic scales that need to be implemented at certain points. There's when you get to that last percentage, it's like it takes 10 trillion amounts of energy to move it up 1 point. You know, you have to do, and then that has to increase each time, and each time it's sort of to follow through with that. And I'm getting carried away, but
I don't
No,
bother with math. I just go vibes.
I appreciate the insight, and I do thank you for that. I think what I'm going to do is cap it at 10 as being the maximum for the.
What
So
I
can any-
normally do, sorry, what I normally do for things like this is diminishing returns. So, like if you wanted to save a year, you could add one person. Then, if you wanted to save another year, you'd have to
4.
add another 2
2,
or 3
yeah.
people, and then double it each time, because it's surprising how quickly that stacks up.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, and then you get a large army of people working on something. You get a good return for it, and it's got a more robust structure, and it feels better when you're doing it.
Is there like, do you only get to assign specific people? Does like intelligence or something come into play, or can you just like put any old dummy on like the research on the research wheel and like crank out your mud bricks?
You need to have good intelligence.
Okay, good. Yeah.
That should
Yeah.
add a plus in there. Everybody who's got a plus on intelligence, you can stack that up, but then diminish in return that too. Get 10 to 1 at a certain point. It goes 1 to 1 up to a certain point, and then 10 to 1, and then 100 to 1, and 1,000 to 1.
Now, keep in mind this.
Of course, in real life, a lot of profound technological advances have come from people who've rolled botches.
True.
So
Totally mistakes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Failure is a state too, but
Fail up.
Also, a lot came from war. So
Yeah.
I would put in some system where certain discoveries can only be made during times of war.
Very
now
back.
keep in mind though, this kind of throttles the line between how simulationist and the fantasy type things, because it's like sometimes you have to find a group that's really gonna enjoy this the simulationism, and I do personally. I think that's cool, but I'm not sure if your average casual is gonna cotton to it so much, because they're too busy wanting to jump in the dungeon and fight the stuff and not worry so much about I don't want to build all the crap. I just want to.
I think there's a market for it. I mean,
I do
X2,
too.
McQueen
I do
is
too.
like Autism Squared. He made like 300 something thousand recently on Kickstarter. I think there's a market. So
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a market for it. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying there's a point of simulationism in there where people have to kind of understand what they're getting involved with it.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Now you can
and you can
do that. You shouldn't lure people in with a game they think is simple when it comes to something like that. So definitely, like you're describing in the back text and in the flavor text, you really want to push that this is a robust system, that this is a system that is going to go over time, things like that, because then you're going to get to your market. The people that read that are interested in that are going to go, oh, I want it. And when they get it, they're going to be happy as clams. But if you get a slasher who gets misled and he gets into it, then he's going to go, oh, I don't like this. And you don't want that. That's not your customer. Your customer is the guy who wants to relate to what you've written, wants to get into your world, is looking for something new to chew on. And it sounds like you're giving them plenty.
Yeah. Here's the tech research rules right here. Do you want me to read it, or do you want to read it yourself? How do you?
No, go ahead. The print is small.
Yes, totally. I can't see a thing.
How's that? Unlocking technologies is done by the ruler, assigning people to research it under the supervision of a class appropriate to the technology. Research will take tens of thousands of man-hours as they are experimenting with the breakthrough, are experimenting to find a breakthrough. It takes a minimum of 10 years before the breakthrough roll is allowed. The breakthrough roll is a simple roll against a head researcher's tech research non-weapon proficiency modified by the tech levels number. Each additional person assigned to the task adds a +1 modifier to the roll and subtracts 1 year from the research time. Thus, if a wizard has a tech research of 18 and he's researching a level 5 technology, his 1d20 roll will be 18 minus 5 equal 13 or less in order to unlock the new technology.
Boom. Perfect.
And Raven, you're an engineer, right? Yeah.
I worked at Boeing for 7 years on the trailing edge articulating flaps. I worked for the senior principal engineer. I was very fortunate to get drafted into his group.
Nice.
That was so lucky. The senior principal engineer for the Boeing company, working in his group as a lowly drafter is where I started. I was like, oh yes, Mr. Larry Blakely. Yes, sir. This guy solved so many engineering problems that were like considered impossible.
That's cool.
I remember having a girlfriend.
So, what do you think overall about it?
I think it's cool as hell, man.
Yeah, well done, well thought out. Yeah. I was looking for typos and errors, and there's nothing. It's perfect. It's clean.
Oh, thank you.
Well, technically, you should either leave the space between the paragraphs or do the indent, not both.
I don't care.
Here, I want to show you something. Here, take a look at my T-shirt. See what it says.
Dinsdale.
Oh, that's
We
awesome.
love Tiny Norman. I got a new jumper with burning skeletons on it.
Oh, that's cool. So, what else do you want to ask me about for this?
Yeah. Do we have any other questions for Gorgon?
How does your magic system work? Is it constitution energy based, or is it spell slot based, or is it memorization like Jack Vance?
Vanakin was spell slots, and I have a spellcraft roll. So if they want to cast a spell, they have to actually make a spellcraft check.
I have a more in-depth question on that. What, if any, is the difference between divine magic and arcane magic?
I always envisioned it like standard as it is in regular D&D.
Okay, so that no real difference.
Yeah,
okay.
No real difference. I like I said, I do have spellcraft roll. So if you're a divine caster, you use spellcraft divine, which is wisdom based. And then if you're a arcane caster, then you are intelligence based. And to answer Savo, yes, magic is research just like technology, except for it's done by each individual class. So each individual character, I should say.
I think that's cool. But
So
tell me, do you have flying bears with laser beams?
No.
I'm sorry,
yet.
Ray. I love that. I'm sorry. I still love that.
Swooping.
How I handle magic, though, I'm sorry. How I handle magic is that when the character is first created, they get 3 spells. One of them is detect magic automatically. Then they can pick 2 other spells out of that. If they're arcane, if they're divine, they get 3 spells of their choice. That's it. And then at level up, they get an additional spell that they're taught by their god directly. Any other spell beyond that, they have to actually research it. And I didn't mean to interrupt somebody. Was it Raven?
Oh, well, wasn't it? Do you do like damage, distance, duration, drain, casting, counterspell for your spells? Like area of effect spells. How long does it take to cast? Well, no, you'd have spell slots, and that says that specifically. Okay, never. I apologize. I don't mean to be obtuse.
No, you're fine. Since game mechanics cannot be copyrighted, I'm just using AD&D. That's it. So,
okay.
Whatever they did for AD&D, that's what I did.
They get, they do.
Certainly, I've always believed that too. The life force based magic would be interesting because if it costs hit points, just because one, it would stop a lot of the repeato casts and it would stop mages from being able to cast a lot. But the trade-off, I think, would have to be that you'd have to give mages a little bit more access to some hitting power because they're not necessarily going to want to expend all their spells and stuff and turn themselves into husks.
That's how it worked in Warlock when we played it, and I think that's why there weren't many spells cast.
Well, I've always found magic to be like the great overpowered power, and it always kind of made me feel angry as a primarily a hitter class type person.
Well, just need to play. You just need to play 0E plus chainmail, or you need to play X2, and then you can be like a fighter that can like mow down 20 enemies at once if you high level.
There you go. So, there you go.
Yeah,
That's epic.
We played Riddle of Steel, and there's two types of magician in that. One of which uses raw magic, but every time you cast spells, you age. And we were about to be run down by like this Mongol horde or something. And I just thought, fuck it. Sacrifice my character, age 100 years and take out this whole army and just crumble into dust. But it was worth it.
Dramatic. What a dramatic ending that is.
that's why you just need to be an elf. So, like 100 years, like whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't work with elves.
Yeah.
So one of the things I did different though in Myths is that I do have all these different races, and how I did it differently is that my races are all have the same lifespan, and then humans, they get +2 that they can place anywhere in their attribute points. So they can split it up. If you have a fighter, they can go to, put +1 into their constitution and +1 into their strength. It all depends upon what the player wants.
Yeah, that's what 5e does, which is fine.
Well, they kind of balance them out with the other races, because I have evil. I did take and use racial societal alignments. So, certain races are only certain alignments. Like I made humans good. And what have you. So, there's a lot of, I did a lot of stuff that was, to kind of balance stuff out and what have you, and to make it unique. So, I can describe the races if you want.
Sure.
That's what we're here for.
All right. Okay. So the first race is the Elas. They are my mining elves. Think of dwarf, but they're elves, and they're underground, and they are evil.
Yay!
Evil. Gotta have a good. You don't have a
race that is entirely evil. No, how could you? No, how terrible.
Oh, I know, it's awful, isn't it? Then
I know.
I
I'm
have.
so gonna use this. They got the British.
Oh.
Lawful evil, thank you.
Yeah.
Then the next race is the Alephinians. They are canines. They are bipedal canines. So,
bark. I love dogs.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to hurt them. I wouldn't want to play one either. I'd just kind of like, every time we would see one, I'd be like, okay, now you stand behind me and you stay safe, okay? I don't want you to get hurt.
That's right. Good dog.
That's pretty much how my players are right now. Let's say then we have the Anunnaki. They are angels. The names are based off of Sumerian. I use Sumeria as a base.
I was about to say Anunnaki. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. I read a lot of Zechariah Sitchin.
Raven's into it. He's shaking his head. Yes.
Well, Sumeria is the heart. It's the first. We gotta love it. If you don't learn it and love it and read a little bit about it,
Mm-hmm.
The next one is the Sisilu, aka the Centaurs. They are evil.
What?
So you've assigned dispositions specifically to races. Do you have a kind of like a generic mechanic that allow you to be Drizzt Do'Urden, so to speak?
It's up to the DM, the adventure master, to
That's
decide.
great. That is great. That is much better than having. Yeah, it's good. If they can, that's.
I've met horses. They are evil, so that makes perfect sense to me.
I don't know. I like them. But
I like
And
horses.
shit everywhere, so they're pretty evil.
Having done a lot of jousting and a lot of fighting on horseback, some horses good, some horses bad, some horses skittish. I've had a horse that I could stand in a crowd full of children dancing and jumping on its feet, and the horse doesn't flinch, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my god, just one wrong step and we got a killed kid, but nope, perfect, absolutely perfect. And I've been around another horse that takes a look at kids and runs away to the far end of the thing. You couldn't walk that horse into a room. Having dealt with them, yeah, they're temperamental. They're like big deer.
evil,
Dangerous at both ends and uncomfortable in the middle.
evil centaurs does kind of remind me of like Greek mythology, though, because like like the centaurs would go kidnap women and stuff.
Except for the one good centaur.
Chiron.
Hold on real quick.
Get that man.
There's always got to be the odd duck. That's what makes a story. So you've got bad guys. What I'm hearing is that you've got built-in inherent. You've got your villains, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that, because every good story has a good villain. If you don't have a good bad guy, you don't have a story. Oh, there's my wife.
Oh.
I'll be back.
Okay.
The next one is the Galu. They are evil, and they're minotaurs. I know.
Oh, come on. I like minotaurs. I want to play an evil minotaur.
Don't have a cow, man.
Christian wants to play a twink minotaur.
Who?
Then we have the Dumalu, seafaring dwarves.
Doomaloo.
And they're neutral. And yes, they can be druids.
Doompa loopa loopity doo. I've got a ship to fly with you.
So let's back up here for Raven. Okay, the next race is the Galu. They are the Minotaurs. They're evil. And T-shirted historian was having a cow.
I didn't like that.
That's a pun on the Minotaur joke.
That was Grimm's.
It's my job. Dad joke.
Then the next race is the Dumalu. They are seafaring dwarves. And they're neutral.
Oh, okay.
They are true neutral, or they're neutral. They can be any form of neutral. And yes, they can be druids.
Are they like sleek and fat like seals or sea lions? That's how I'm imagining an aquatic dwarf.
Yeah,
So-
nice and
I don't know. I haven't really said a look for them yet. But
if they were big and round, they would float. When they hit the water, they'd just be natural buoys. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And they'd be formidable. They'd be formidable. You get 2 or 3 of those little guys rolling at you, and you're like, "Oh, that's a knee breaker."
Oh yeah.
Going down.
Well, they do start out with sailing and the ability to build ships, or boats. Actually, they have boat right for free. So yeah.
But what about
Here-
rolling into people?
No, not yet.
Okay, let me throw one at you, Gorgon. Here's one that you probably hadn't considered. Cannibal halflings with chihuahuas. Because yes, because I mean it sounds funny, but chihuahuas are the smallest dog, but they, in old Mexico, they would roam around in packs. And can you imagine a pack of chihuahuas taking down a bigger animal? Because they're vicious little suckers. They're
like
mean.
fighter
What
dog.
about Chihuahua kobolds?
Well, that would work too, but I think that's why I think that it's more funny to have them with the feral halflings, cannibalistic feral
teamed up.
halflings.
They teamed up because
they've teamed
small
up.
people got to stick together.
Right.
That would be. I do have halflings in the core rulebook, but they're not in Miss Melanos. I'm almost done with the races.
Do you have any flyers in your races?
Flyers?
Yeah, natural flyers.
Yeah, I have the Anunnaki. They fly at 24 inches around and maneuverability class of C.
Cool.
And then the Galu I'm sorry. The Galu are the demons, not the Minotaurs. The
Ah.
Galu are the demons, and they fly at 18, but they have maneuverability class of B. A class C means that they can only turn 90 degrees and they have to move half their movement rate forward in order to keep aloft. Movement class B is where they can turn 180 degrees and they can hover. So there's no requirement for them to move forward.
Good old D&D flight classes.
I'm sorry?
The good old D&D flight classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept those. So next up we have the Awilu, which are the humans. They're good. That's it. They can end up being evil later on, but at the very start of the game, they're good because they're created by the greater god Melanos, who's lawful good, and then his wife, which is Arishtiaya, she's also lawful good. So it makes sense that they are good at the very beginning.
Yeah.
All the races adhere to their creator's alignment. Well, the good, evil, or neutral part. Then you have the Catharians. The Catharians are felines, bipedal felines. So you got the bipedal dogs and you got the bipedal cats. So
are they more anime cat girl, or are they more like the Aslan in Traveller, or a Kazinti?
more like the Aslan / Kazinti and stuff like that. You know,
They show you their
more of the-
affection by sticking their butt in your face.
Yeah, pretty much. I actually asked my Olympian group, do you guys want to greet each other by sniffing each other's butts? And they're all like going, no.
You should do it like the Japanese, like the JRPG way, where like the men are like the ugly, hulking like animal things, and then the women are like cute cat girls.
Yeah, there you go. I thought that would be funny.
Well, this needs some explanation. I actually have sexual dimorphism built into Miss Melanos. So women are limited to 16 strength for non-fighters, and if they're fighters or a warrior group, they are the max that they can have is 1850.
Scandalous.
Oh, very scandalous.
I know.
Oh my God, I'm shocked.
And the only exception to this is the Catharians. The Catharians, the women are the strongest. So they can go up to 18,100 strength. So they have uncapped strength. The men are stuck at 16 strength for non-warriors and 1850 for warriors. So I know, scandalous, right?
No, I mean, I come from a martial arts background. It's like, I realize that a woman could take on Francis Ngannou. I just don't think she would have a chance.
Surly Unicorn is like going, no.
The problem with that when it comes down to actually is the neck strength.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what. And I mean, if males can generate more physical power, females can actually generate enough power to damage another female's neck beyond, it's just, they're not built. They weren't evolutionary built for this. So if your evolution is they're built for this, then you got Neanderthal girls.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nothing wrong with that. There were Amazons. The Amazons existed on the steppes of Russia. We know they were there. We found their remains. We found their graves. We know they were real. So there was a group of girls that did their thing, and they were big and they were strong. So,
yeah,
we need to genetically resurrect them. I need a girlfriend.
Enough of us have Neanderthal DNA that something was going on.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's why we have so many health problems now. It's because of the interbreeding.
I've gone back and forth on this, right? So, from a simulationist perspective, some of the physical changes are pretty differences are pretty undeniable, but it's massively unpopular, and not just with the dickish crowd. And I've found that people tend to make their characters divergent anyway when they sit down to make them. So I don't know.
When it comes to fantasy and stuff like that, I kind of take the more pulpy approach. Like, nobody's gonna fuck with Red Sonja, let's be honest. So it's like I'm fine with like female characters being as badass as they need to be because it's pulp, it's larger than life, it's heroic. But ultimately it's his game. He can do what he wants. I'm not saying that it's bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm just giving my perspective.
Yeah. I'm just sharing my thoughts as well.
Yeah.
The thing is that the adventure master can throw the rule out if they so desire. I've had people sit there and go, but that's wrong. You're misogynist and blah, blah, blah. You hate women. And I asked them to find me one woman that can lift as much as the bench press of male bench press record holder. Nobody's been able to. I've said, if you can find me that one woman that can bench press as much as a man, I will remove the rule. To date, nobody's been able to find it.
So boss, one thing I want to say, you are absolutely correct in your convictions. You are absolutely right, 100%. But people want to do fantasy stuff sometimes, and they want to play things that aren't possible. And that is what you cater into, so you've got the rule that you say you can throw it out, the referee can, so that covers this. And so people who want to have Red Sonja are Red Sonja. And you haven't limited that. And that's where the appeal is in games. When you start limiting things that are absolute about them, that's where it really becomes a flavor thing at that point. It really does.
I think Savo's right. I think having different approaches to combat that different characters can have, as opposed to just brute strength, is something that also helps there. So you can play the slighter, faster character who can get in and do like half a dozen blows while Crunk is still lifting his axe, Or if you look at Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes, he's an intellectual fighter, like he's planning 3 moves ahead and he's got it all plotted out. So he's using his intelligence. Yeah,
he did. He did that so well.
Well, the thing was now about the Robert Downey thing is because Sherlock was always an intellectual. Oftentimes, there was not a lot of physical combat. A friend of mine's father got up and walked out of the film. He was an old school Sherlock Holmes fan. And when the first one was shown and he saw the physical combat, he got up and left. And he said that Sherlock Holmes does not engage in fisticuffs.
And I was... In the original stories, he's a martial artist.
Ding, ding. Thank you very much. I did not know this.
In original stories, they make a point that he practiced it was like some Victorian martial art. It was based on
Baritsu.
Baritsu. Yeah. It was like trains you to fight with your cane and like all that stuff. That's what Robert Downey Jr. stuff was playing into.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad you told me that. Oh, that makes me feel much better.
Yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr. himself is a Jeet Kune Do stylist. So. Yeah. Why he looks as cut up as he does.
The Baritsu stuff is what he actually uses to, take down Moriarty and they fall off the
waterfall.
Yeah.
With his portable oxygen container.
Yeah.
all of that boils down to how the adventure master runs the game. If the adventure master wants to have women be uncapped, they can. It's their game. This is the world that I set up, and it's only for this world. It's not for other worlds. If somebody wants to create another campaign world for the dad system, they can, and they don't have to. In fact, the main dad rulebook doesn't have sexual dimorphism in it. It's only in the setting that they do.
Yeah.
That's entertaining. That's entertainment.
Setting verisimilitude is also important, so...
Oh, let me get this right. Yeah, JP got Rocks is right. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. starts Wing Chun, not JKD.
Everybody Wing Chun tonight.
Yes, there is a difference.
I love the fixed positions for that, and threading the needle parry is one of the very favorite things for the Wing Chun. Very nice, good positions. Bruce was against fixed positions. His T-shirt.
Yes. JKD flow like water.
Yes.
There's only 3 more races left, and that's the Gudu, which are the Minotaurs. They're evil. Mm-hmm. Then you have the Sir Elaz and the Sir Dumalu. So human, dwarves, and elves can all interbreed with each other. So if you have an Elaz and a Dumalu in a breed, you get a Sir Dumalu or a Sue Elaz, whatever one. If you're a human and they interbreed with an Elaz, they become a Sir Elaz. Sir just means half in Sumerian. So those are the only two that those are the only two half breeds I have. So, and they
No, it's okay.
adhere to whatever their primary dominant parent is, on
And
what they
something
look like.
something about the dimorphism that should probably be pointed out too is original AD&D also had dimorphism built into the system.
Yeah.
So pretty much since this is like basically like an homage to D&D, it kind of fits in the way that it is an homage. So it's
Yeah.
You know.
And let's be honest, women don't play tabletop games anyway, right, guys?
Yeah. And there's no girls on the internet.
Yeah.
We have Puppy. Oh no, we have Puppy. Look at him, he's so cute.
This is Thunder.
Could
Oh,
I read the introduction to Miss Amalanos for
sure.
Raven? Okay. Harken back to the early 1970s, where the major entertainment was 3 television networks, movie theaters, plays, and the radio. It's an analog world that you lived in, and the only sources of historical information is from the library or the pulp fiction that you devour, or the pulp fiction you devoured. It's a simpler time, hidden from the world at large as a subset of society that plays games, not board games like Monopoly or Sorry, but a new type of game that utilized toy soldiers and wargaming table. People would join historical clubs to play against each other in various historical battles. This is the backdrop for when Gary Gygax, Dave Arneson, and Dave Wellesley worked their creative magic to make the pieces for the first role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons, a game where the player assumed a role of a single character when adventuring in a fantastical world created by the DM. This was an evolutionary step forward from wargaming and allowed for personal scale stories to be told that were memorable for the players. Their players created a lot of the game that we know today, NPCs that were their original characters and that we now all enjoy in published settings like Greyhawk, Blackmoor, and Brownstein. The rules evolved to become Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and where I learned how to enjoy RPGs. I remember my first character, Kaji-sama, a mage ninja dual class from the Player's Handbook at Oriental Adventures. It was the first edition rule set for AD&D. The world was mysterious since it was the DM's own creation, a unique setting that sprang from his imagination like all other DMs who played the prior editions of the game. Even going back to the original 3 DMs, there weren't any published settings. This is the backdrop for Miss Amalanos and his creation. The goal of the setting is to introduce mystery, excitement, and the importance of the player characters, just like how it used to be when Gary, Dave, and David sat down with their original groups. The rules contained herein cover character creation, setting information, and information specifically for the Adventure Master. The game begins right after the Malanos system and all that is in it are created. The players begin naked and must learn how to survive. They will explore, adventure, create towns or buildings, build tombs for them, and they die. Upon death, the campaign is not over. The next generation takes over and continues where the prior generation left off. Over time, dungeons, tombs, towns, etc. will be created. Items like weapons, artifacts, spells all need to be invented. Technology will grow from the Stone Age to the Age of Sail, all pushed by the work of the players. The players are the movers and the shakers. Their decisions form the myths that will permeate the current campaign or a future one that the Adventure Master decides to run. That's the introduction.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did I capture what your experience was back then, Raven?
That is, you captured gaming.
Yeah, definitely.
I asked Tracy that, and Tracy said, you captured it perfectly. That's how it was.
Yep.
You know, Tracy Lesh. So. I'm sorry, Raven?
I do not know who this human is.
Tracy Lesh. He was the artist for TSR. He sat behind Heidi Gygax in
Oh,
school, and
wonderful.
he's the one
Love-
that did the artwork for Tomb of Horrors. I'm sorry, Tomb of Horrors.
Oh yeah.
Excellent. Wonderful. I'm glad. Thank you. I didn't know this. I don't know this person. It's
You oh wow, I'm surprised. I thought you all knew each other. Wow.
it's my failing, not theirs.
He's an awesome dude, just like you are. So any questions, comments?
Well,
Ready to
we're over time. I promised you an hour, so I don't know if we've got any last minute things or not. But I mean, I'm honestly, it's like, yeah, having Raven on always makes me want to go longer, just because it's kind of like it's so nice to see him, and it's his energy that he brings to the stream is just so infectious. It's great. I love it anytime we can get him on. So I was like,
Thank you very much for the compliment. You guys are highlights in my life, and I really appreciate knowing you guys. And I hope to travel to London probably next year. I'm supposed to be coming, and I'm supposed to I want to spend about 3 days in the Louvre. I'm going to spend 3 days in the Louvre. So
You're probably in the wrong place in London then.
well, we start in London, we stay in London, then we're going to take the channel across, do that, and then we're going to rent a car. We're going to.
Yeah.
uh-oh.
Where's the Louvre? I see Big Ben. I see the palace. Where's the Louvre?
Oh, wait, we do have a question here for Raven. Okay.
I can't read. What does it say?
Okay. It says, sorry for the ignorance. What is this Cinnabar game that was mentioned?
Oh my goodness. It's the world's first science fiction fantasy role-playing game, written in 1980, sold around the world in 13 countries. I designed it by myself, didn't know what I was doing. The first few editions are terrible, but I did my best. I got them done. I'm a promoter of science fiction fantasy role-playing game. I wanted to create a system where you could be Doctor Strange with Doctor Strange's powers in Superman's body on the Starship Enterprise. And so, I mean, that was my goal. And I wanted to make it to where the referee could handle it and play it. And then there was no limits. And that's Cinnabar's designed. There are no limits. And I'm not going to go on about it anymore. Thank you for the question. Yeah, the dad system. We're here about the dad system.
Which I do plan on turning into a universal system.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to. Can you imagine playing a game like Superheroes, but you're using saving throws from D&D?
Yes.
Yes.
Save versus Death Ray.
Yes.
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 High enough levels, you're basically a superhero anyway. So.
I'm sorry, Victor.
At high enough levels, you're basically a superhero anyway. So.
True.
Yeah.
Victor, I love your accent.
Yeah, thanks.
I love listening to every word you say. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm from Alabama. No.
Alabama is right down south.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally, sir?
I'm from the Netherlands, so I'm still here. Sadly.
He's an Aboriginal.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
All right,
technically,
guys.
if you want to claim to be from the States, apparently Florida is the flattest US state.
Huh.
Swampiest anyway.
I thought it was Kansas.
The tallest peak in Florida is only 345 feet high. So
Okay.
Yeah, but
The Ichituckney.
Lots of
We have-
swamp too, so we full home. So good.
yeah, I wouldn't live in Florida. I'd go someplace with a little bit more elevation. Like Kansas is fine just because it's flat.
well, Victor is a swamp German, so
Yeah,
Swamp Germans.
Let's give us a
Forgot
few
about that.
generations. We'll turn Florida into a proper country. Like dikes and all this all stuff. So yeah.
bicycles.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe in the future, I'll tell you about what races I have in Dad in the core rule book. I
Well,
do
there's-
have kobolds.
Well, there's always another show. We can always get you on again.
Yep. I've
Oh.
had fun. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you had fun, and I'm glad we had Raven on. I had a great Saturday. I hope you guys did too. It's been a great show. I'm sorry to have to go, but our time is up.
Real quick, 12
Oh,
days.
no, yeah.
I'm
Yes,
doing my
yes.
I'm doing my Kickstarter. If you can drop the link in the chat real quick, T-shirt. Doing the Kickstarter for Modern Necessities, my modern and urban fantasy rules for old school essentials. So yeah, that's starting in 12 days, March 1st. So check that out if you like, stuff like Bright, and if you want to like do Isle of Dread but with AK-47s, I'm your guy. So check it out.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Wishes.
There you go. Savo Holland, the ejaculate of the Rhine. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, that's provocative.
Isn't it though? Spicy. All right. Well, thank y'all for hanging out with us tonight, and we appreciate y'all very much. If you're catching us on the replay, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're still not monetized, so let your friends know, and let your friends know, and we'll get there. We're slowly getting there.
Yeah.
But until next week, y'all take care, and we will see you Tuesday with Geeks.
Dag
See you
iedereen.
guys later. Peace.
On behalf of the staff of the Independent California Motel, I wish you all sweet dreams.